Okay, so in this animation lesson, let's use Mass Effects. So I'll create a plane here, and I'll just go to Modify Panel, and then I'll just adjust this to 200 by 200 units in length and width. I'll remove the segments. Then I will just center it in 3D space. Then I will just go to my right click, convert to editable poly. I will create separate polygons out of this. I will use the edge selection on the top viewport. I will go to the edit geometries rollout, and then I will choose quick slice, and then I will manually slice this by clicking and then dragging, and then click to another end, and then repeat, clicking, dragging, click to another end, clicking, drag, click, drag, click, and drag. I will repeat this until I have sliced the plane into several parts that can serve as small particles in my animation using Mass Effects. Next, I will right click to exit the quick slice. While I have these edges selected, I will go still in the edit geometry. I will choose my tessellation options, and then in the tessellation options I will choose face. I will just press check to OK. After I have done that, I will turn off the selection, and then I will go to my modifier list. I will choose subdivide modifier. After I have created or have added subdivisions through the subdivide modifier, I will select once more and add edit poly, and I will select one polygon anywhere. And then after I have selected one polygon anywhere, I'll go here at the selection tab, and then here at the selection option I'll choose checker, and then I will repeat that until the selection stops, meaning for every time I choose patterns checker, the selection grows. So I will keep on repeating that until the selection is not growing anymore. There. After I have selected that, I will turn off the selection. I will switch to the edit mesh, and then once I turn on the polygon selection, the same selection has been saved and it is active. Now here in the mesh modifier, edit mesh modifier, polygon selection is on. I'll drag down, go down once more to the edit geometry rollout, and then here I will find explode. I will click the explode, and for example I will name this, let's say block 01, or I'll just remove the number. I'll just name it block and put underscore, and then I press OK. As you can see here, 3ds Max is the one to number it. Then I'll go back to my selection. This time I'll go to my element selection, and then I'll just select all of this. So this means those that were selected earlier have already been separated. Now the ones that were not selected are the ones active. After that, I will repeat the step. I'll go down to the edit geometry, and then I will choose the explode option. So now I will just rename this once more block underscore, so that the count will just continue. Then I'll turn it off. This is now the only polygon remaining of the original plane that we have created earlier. I will name it also block, but I will check the number. It's going to be number 261. So plane will now be renamed block underscore 261, just to keep count of the polygons. Next is, I will now go back to the perspective view. I will select all of this, and this time I will add thickness to the polygons. So I'll just go to, while having them all selected, I'll just go to my modify panel. In the modifier list, I will type in shell modifier, and after I typed in shell modifier, now I can add thickness to all the blocks that I have created. I'll just type in 5 or 10. Now I have that. The next thing is, I will now make this stand. I will just rotate it using the rotate tool, pressing A for angle snap, and now I start to snap 90 degrees. I'll just use the front or side viewport or the left side viewport to properly position no object. Next, I'll just push it back a little. Next, I will now create an object that will pass through our wall or our blocked wall. I'll go to the sphere. This, I'll change the color just for the viewing purpose. Let's change it to that here, and then let us start a simple animation. So for example, I will turn on the auto key, and then it is now recorded that this is the starting position of the sphere, and this is the starting frame. It is recorded there. I'll go to frame number 30, and then let's say the sphere will pass through. So the keyframes have been created, and then I will just turn off the auto key. Next thing is to convert these objects into Mass Effects object. I'll select this sphere, and then I'll go to animation, and then I'll go to my Mass Effect, and I'll choose rigid bodies. Since this is the one moving, this is going to be set as the kinetic rigid body. So it is going to be the one, since it is the one moving, so it is the kinematic rigid body. Next, the objects that are not moving or that are going to be passed by or passed through on are these blocks. I'll select all of them. I'll do the same. Animation, Mass Effects, rigid bodies. This time I will select them as dynamic rigid body, so that they will react accordingly once the sphere passes. As you can see, each object is being added with a rigid body. Now that the objects have been added with dynamic rigid body, if you will click one, you will see that there is this rigid body or Mass Effect has been stuck to them. The next thing, I will now select once more the sphere. I'll go back to animation, and then I'll go back to Mass Effects. This time I'll go to utilities, and then I'll click show Mass Effects tools. Here in the Mass Effects tools, I will choose the multi-object editor. In the multi-object editor, I will, while I have this object click, while I have the sphere, the kinematic object click, I will check until frame, and then I'll type in the last frame. I will have this check. So the last frame that I have in my scene currently is 100. Next, I will select the two of or all of them, the wall blocks and the spear. I will select all of them, and then I will check start in sleep mode. So now it is active, or start in sleep mode, and then I will just click bake. As I click the bake, it is now starting to process, creating keyframes for every frame number. Also, the animation will happen or will be previewed, and as you can see, keyframes are being added. Now that that is done, I will test play the animation. There. So this is how you animate with Mass Effects. I'll see you on the next lesson.